I'd like to call to order the Clarkston Independence District Library Board of Trustees meeting for February 5th at 6:38. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Before we call the roll, we want to remember Chris Shull. You'll find in your packet
Christy Ellen Shull, born November 18th, 1946, to John and Jessie Henderstein in Detroit, a longtime resident of Clarkston and formerly of Warren, passed away on January 18th, 2024, at the age of 77. Wife of Walter Gamble Jr., stepmother of Allison Worthington, Barbara Chuck Goshorn, loving sister of Todd Lori Henderstein, and Amy Henderstein, proud aunt of Kelly, Sean, and Melissa, and great aunt to many nieces and nephews. She was preceded in death by her first husband, Bruce Shull, and her beloved son, Paul Shull. In the late 80s and early 90s, Chris owned and operated her own lawn care business, Clarkston Grassbusters, worked with her son, Paul, and was quite the small engine mechanic when one of her machines needed repair. As a voracious reader, Chris served on the board of trustees of the Clarkston Independence District Library and had a vast library of her own book collections in her home. Chris was very active in the Clarkston Farm and Garden Club and was a talented master gardener. Her backyard was her passion, as she spent many hours tending her flowers, plants, and trees. She was a longtime member of the Clarkston Community Women's Club. Chris also worked at the Oakland County Assessing Office and loved the challenges her job provided. Full of energy, Chris collected antiques and refinished many pieces that became treasured additions in her home. Watching movies was another passion that she enjoyed, and she shared some of the highlights of her favorites. Her artistic talents were endless as her creativity flowed with drawing, painting, cooking, and home decorating. Chris was an avid collector of rocks and minerals and gifted many family members and friends with the treasures she obtained at the shows she attended. An adventurous traveler, Chris and her sister Amy visited multiple countries in Europe, as well as the United States and Canada. She loved her pets, having many cats, dogs, and a few horses. A memorial service will be announced at a later date to be held in the spring, and memorial contributions may be made to the Friends of the Clarkston Independence District Library, and we are honored to do a memorial for her.
So we're sorry to miss her. Let's have roll call, please.
Jan Gaffney? Here. Allison McFadden Kiesling?
Here.
Nancy Moon? Here. Alan Panter?
Here.
Marilyn Pomeroy?
Here.
Maggie Sands? Here. Julie Meredith here.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been made, the motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. This time we'll have a call to the public. We're probably home keeping warm. It was supposed to be warm this week, but somehow it doesn't really feel like that. So if no one from the public wishes to speak, we will move on to the consent agenda. We have a long consent agenda. I'll accept a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda as presented. Anyone have a question about any of these 13 items? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. This time, we'd like to have the Friends of the Library report.
Hi, my name is Becky Perry, and I am the liaison for 2024. You know, our January 11th meeting was canceled. We had 2 board members that could be present. Jim had COVID, our president, and everybody else was ill or out of town. So we decided to cancel. But we did have our book sale, and it was really, this was a new way we were going to be doing it, kind of a shortened form. one full day less. So we had Wednesday night as our preview night, Thursday and Friday full price book sale, Saturday $5 bag day. We ended up with a grand total of $6,586.99, almost $6,600. And we had $82.95 in donations, $205.50 for our Clarkston teachers budget, and $475.50 of that was for membership. So I think we did really well, and I think we're going to do this again, the shortened form. And that was Jim's idea.
Excellent. So that will leave us with 3 Friends book sales per year.
Well, correct, but I believe we're going to be doing the children's that we did
During summer reading?
during the summer reading. And that was so much fun. I hope we're going to do it again. It was so great to see the kids grab the books and sit down and start reading.
And that was just a one-day sale, isn't it?
It was a
one-day
sale.
Okay. Yep.
Enjoy it.
Well, we're all in favor of that. And hopefully, everyone is feeling better.
I pray we are. That was tough. I worked 39 hours in that book sale.
Yes, I saw you there. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Let's have a look at library statistics.
So Sissy put together a 2023 year in review for you. So this is the rundown of statistics for the entire year. 104,274 visits to the library, 2,525 new library cards issued, 269,646 total physical materials circulated, over 11,000 information questions, 356 children's and teen programs, 5,750 computer users, and over 81,000 total downloads, and 1,300 study room uses. So this is just sort of our in a nutshell of how it went. And then she highlighted a few of the highlights of the year. The library was named Nonprofit of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce. We won Best Library in Metro Detroit for the 5th year in a row. We had 100 plus more kids signed up for Summer Reading Challenge in 2023 than in 2022. The new Deb's Book Nook was installed in the youth area. We installed a new wall mural in the youth area, and then we launched that new electronic waste recycling service. So just a lot of really good things happened in 2023.
Excellent.
Nice summary.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought Sissy did a great job putting that together for us. I really appreciated her doing that. So
Thank you for us.
I will definitely do that.
It was also easy to read and
Very
nice and big.
Yep, and she did it as a poster out in the library as well, so that people can see the things that we've done. Any questions about any of it? No? Okay.
So that condenses our 3 pages here.
Into a much more pleasant to read, yeah. Not quite so numbers dense.
That's all right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Library Director's Report.
Okay. DTE has reached back out to follow up on the possibility of adding an EV charging station to the library's parking lot. We have an appointment to meet with DTE representative on Friday, February 9th at noon to discuss the physical logistics of what would be needed from DTE's perspective. So transformer, electrical meter, and any issues that may need to be addressed in order for this project to potentially move forward. The new furniture that we ordered for the library's lobby is complete. We are in the process of making arrangements with Library Design Associates for the delivery. This project was budgeted in 2023, but production was delayed, so this expenditure will take place in 2024. And at the end of 2023, the money that was budgeted for the project reverted to fund balance. So that's on the agenda tonight to do a budget adjustment to accommodate that delayed expense. The library's administrative team that consists of the library director, 2 part-time administrative assistants, one that focuses on accounts payable and the other who focuses on finance, HR, and records management, and the contracted accountant, Melissa Schulman of Walnut Hill Bookkeeping, began her role as the library's accountant in December to provide a smooth transition as she fully took over in January of 2024. To better understand our procedure and stay engaged in our workflow, she will be joining our monthly administrative meetings that also include Library Board Treasurer Jan Gaffney. These meetings provide an opportunity to troubleshoot, stay updated on everyone's projects, and discuss best practices. At the January meeting, we discussed a more thorough financial reporting method for library board meetings. It has been proposed that beginning next month and going forward, we will include a monthly financial report in the consent agenda along with the check runs. Because the meetings are sometimes early in the month, this report will be a month behind. So January report will be in March, February report will be in April. This may not be ideal, but because the report will be consistently included each month, it should allow for the board to see the patterns of spending and be aware of the finances between quarterly reports. We will continue to have quarterly report that will be part of the regular business for board discussion and any needed budget adjustments. And if the board has other suggestions for improved financial tracking, we are open to consider additional improvements. Questions or?
Well, I'd like to thank you for making a board member part of the administrative team for these meetings.
It's very helpful to have her there, actually. It's nice because she gives us the board perspective when we're having these discussions. And so she was very instrumental in deciding, do we put this in the consent agenda? Does the board want to talk about it every meeting? That kind of thing. So.
Thanks, Dan.
Research continues on new government appropriate investment options for library funds. Jan Gaffney and Nancy Moon and I met with Jennifer Mull from Flagstar to further discuss the CIDRs program that was shared with the board a few months ago. In addition, I reached out to Fifth Third, another of our banks, to inquire about investment options they may offer that are to their government clients. A meeting will be arranged in a few weeks to meet with their representative to talk about the programs that they offer, which it sounds like are probably different. So. And that's my in a nutshell report. The meeting agenda is really long, so I kept my report a little bit shorter.
Any questions or comments? No. Then let's move on to the meat of the evening. Regular business, number 1, the strategic plan overview.
On December 11th, the Library Board approved Fast Forward Libraries as our consultants for the 2024 strategic plan. On December 21st, Julie Meredith and Sissy met with the lead consultant, Amanda Standerfer, to go over the draft of the plan and timeline. The timeline and list of committees are being provided to the board for review. We have highlighted board participation. So if you look at this this timeline, you can see that she's highlighted in yellow. There is a board retreat planned for early September, and that's Amanda, our consultant with the board. And there's a presentation of the draft plan to the board in October, so that's our timeline in terms of those pieces. There will be room for board involvement in the same pieces that we do with the public as well. So there will be a survey, there will be focus groups, and we'll invite you into some of those things as well. But these are the main pieces that we want to make sure you have on your calendar in advance to make sure you don't miss those opportunities. So a retreat and then a presentation to the board.
Will that happen, like the presentation to the board, will that happen at a regularly scheduled board meeting or a special one?
Nope, we'll make sure it's a regular meeting unless you would like to have it at a separate meeting. But
No,
the intention was
that's not
just be.
So but the retreat would be?
Its own event.
Its own event,
Yeah,
okay.
and
So
we'll
we'll
make-
set a date for that early summer, late spring?
That will be Sissy who will work with Amanda to make that determination, but I suspect that they'll try to set it pretty early so that you have it on your calendars to make sure that you know when it's coming. So
Okay.
they won't wait until the last minute, I'm sure.
Especially since in September, we usually have a budget workshop. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It looks like an extensive plan.
It is. It's a very extensive plan. And then if you go to the very last page of this little portion, you'll see that the planning team is, our board member is Nancy Moon, and then Chelsea Pridmore is our teen librarian. She will be on there. David Silverman, who is our head of adult services. Dawn Seckler, who is one of our part-time circulation clerks. And Louise Enright, who is part of our technical services team in the back. And then Sissy is our head of marketing and engagement. And then I'm on the committee as well, but I'm primarily on there as support. This is really Sissy's baby, and I'm going to just be a support for her. Community Engagement Subcommittee, now that's specifically that outreach piece of it. That's Molly Weiner, who is our school outreach coordinator, and Neil Parr, who's our innovations librarian, and then of course Sissy will be on that. And then when it talks about the leadership team, our leadership team is Bill Bowman, our head of IT, Stacia Serafin, our head of youth and teen services, David Silverman, our head of adult services, Sissy Phillips, head of marketing and engagement, Arlene Weber is our facilities coordinator, Brad Reuter is our head of technical services, Chris Nato is our head of circulation, and then myself. So these are the committees that will be the various pieces as we go through this process. Sissy wanted to be here tonight, but her timing is a little off with a vacation that sort of fell into this time slot. But she will be. Sissy.
Oh, okay.
Sissy wanted to be here tonight because this is her baby, but she entrusted it to me for the evening, and you will see her again soon. So.
She found you to be worthy of.
I hope so. She's very excited to be doing this, though, and she would be a lot more bouncy about her presentation than I am. So I apologize for not being quite so buoyant as she is.
Well, I'll accept a motion to approve the timeline.
I make a motion to approve the strategic plan timeline as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we support the timeline as presented. Any comments or questions? Looks very thorough.
It does.
All-
That's good.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed. Now, the RFP for technological assessment.
Okay, in 2024, the library is embarking on a strategic planning process, which you just heard about, that will cover the entire breadth of the library's operations. An option that was presented by one of the non-awarded vendors was a technology assessment. This assessment would create a comprehensive technology inventory with a future-focused plan based on community and staff input. When the library board approved the strategic plan vendor, also approved was the ability to find a vendor for this technology assessment. To facilitate this process, we assembled an RFP specific to this technology assessment for board approval. This will allow us to bring the proposals to the board at the March 18th, 2024 meeting. And Mr. Bowman, this is his baby, he's here to tell you about anything in regards to that, if you have any questions. That one, he apparently did not trust me, so.
Bill, do we have a list of potential people to respond?
Not as of yet. We're gonna be looking that up right after you approve it, then we'll actually go and look up the vendors that we're gonna.
Hopefully we'll find half a dozen, maybe?
I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of them. I know there are a bunch of them out there. Several I've worked with in the past that'll probably do something similar. So, I will, there will be a bunch. I know that much.
So, well, I'm concerned, today is what, the 6th? And they've got to respond by the 23rd? I guess that's a couple weeks.
Generally, leaving an RFP open for too long, you don't end up getting as many responses.
For some reason, people lose interest.
They'll lose interest, or they'll be like, yeah, I'll deal with that next week, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
giving a short time period, it's the ones that are, eager to do and, can get the stuff in very quickly.
And most vendors have boilerplate proposals
Yeah, a lot of them do,
anyways,
yeah.
so they can just sort of look at what we're asking for specifically and pull the pieces out of their boilerplate that fit. And when we've had a technology plan in place for quite some time. I'm assuming this is much more in-depth.
Well, it's an in-depth study of what we are using and how it's being used.
Okay.
And then what the public wants from things we do and don't have.
Okay.
So things like, for example, we have 8 public computers right now. Okay. Is that enough? Is that not enough? Do people need other things? Do we need an entire space for certain things? Stuff
Right.
like that. I know what I think is cool, and I can build all of that. But if it didn't get any use, what's the point?
Right. Absolutely.
So that's why I wanted to bring outside, especially the public itself, bringing them in.
Bill, will the RFP cover essentially hardware and software, but not necessarily classes or training for the public on what should or shouldn't be? What comes to mind for me is I'm sure there's a growing interest by the public to better understand AI and what its implications or how to use it. Are those things that would be at least surfaced during the survey so we'd know too? Okay.
I do hope that
So it could also be programming on top, like a
Absolutely,
community
yes.
programming on top of it?
We've got, we have some classes and we have our technology one-on-ones, things we have right now that aren't getting a whole lot of use. So we've got to shift that up too. So we want to see if there's other things. But there's other programs that, like I have a program with the senior center right now
where every month or two, I go over to the senior center and teach senior citizens how to use their Android phones.
Great.
For example. And that one's just growing. And, okay. So that was something that came out of the public. They said, hey, we have this stuff. Can you, I'm like, absolutely, let's go do that.
We're only using 10% of what's on our screen.
Right. And so that's the sort of things I do want to surface. Yes, the things that what can we provide that are not already being provided.
Okay, so the 3 buckets would be sort of hardware,
Yeah.
software,
What new hardware do I
and
need?
classes.
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you.
And we've talked about, VR stuff too as well, VR and AR, which
Yep.
is, another big thing that's coming out, especially with Apple dropping the Vision Pro last week.
We're all going to go buy a pair.
There you go. I don't think you're going to prove you getting 6 or 7 of those out of 3,500 a pop. So, but yeah, that's the idea, is to get what can we bring in, what hardware can we bring in, what softwares are people wanting to use, and so which can help me build out the public computers as to be. I get questions about, hey, do you have, every once in a while, but having it written out as to what the majority wants, I can definitely build an image better for the public computers, for example.
Terrific.
So what's your timeline for this assessment running parallel to the assessment of other library
The idea
needs?
is that this will run about a month behind the other one because we're starting at about a month later.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the plan.
Is it going to be a problem if we go to the public twice?
I think what's going to happen is, I'm just hopping in because I think Sissy would hop in to say this. I think what Amanda and Sissy are thinking is that as they're doing that community survey, questions will come up about various technology programs. We're thinking that that kind of stuff is probably going to come out during the strategic plan piece. And then since he's following along a month behind, then we can address those pieces and say, oh, if we want to do these kinds of programs, we need to be aware of these kinds of technologies in the building and that kind of thing. So that's why they were thinking about a month behind. It would give us a little time to hear some things, and because they're working in tandem, they'll make sure that there are questions in that survey that include technology.
Okay.
Right.
It won't be twice.
Yeah, we're not going to go twice. It will be more like you were saying, I'll follow behind and say, okay, we can add to the questions that are being said in the survey. Because some of the other the vendors we did not award to had that option built into theirs. And they used an outside consultant to do it. So these companies work with outside consultants in that sort of way. So I don't see it being an issue of integrating the two.
Okay.
And so we probably hope to close it about the same time with the board in October?
Pretty close.
Oh, okay.
But we'll have a better timeline handle by next month.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do we have a budget for this project? Or we're just waiting to see what the RFPs come in as?
Well, the original ones, one of the other ones was around $5,000 was for the plan and for the technology assessment portion of it. So we're looking at that's about the same, about there.
That's about right there.
Okay, good questions. I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to approve the RFP for the technology assessment as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the RFP for technology assessment as presented. No further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
Thank you, Bill.
Yes. Let's move to the approval of an updated ACH vendor list.
In October 2023, an ACH and electronic transaction policy and a list of vendors authorized to receive ACH payment was approved by the board. As part of that policy, it was stated that the list of approved vendors would be updated and approved by the board at least once a year. The administrative staff has been working on setting up the ACH payment structure for the approved vendors and have identified 4 additional vendors they would like to add to the list to streamline the payment of time-sensitive invoices. So what we're trying to do is we're bringing it back to you now so that we can get in the habit of doing this at the beginning of the year. Even though we just did it not that long ago, but we've been working on it long enough now that we feel there's a few that we would add. So they're highlighted in yellow on that list.
Now, does this mean we could add others later in the year?
Absolutely.
We don't have to wait till next year?
No, but we wanted to make sure that it becomes habit that we review it at least once a year.
Okay.
And maybe take some off that aren't being used. So there's a couple of them that we already For example, Merchants Benefit Administration, they don't accept ACH payments. So we put them on the list, hoping that maybe they'll get on board at some point. But if they don't, then maybe we would just take them off eventually.
Okay.
I don't know. So.
Well, I'm glad to see Baker and Taylor on the list.
We
all are.
Oh, goodness.
One of our larger items, yes.
Yes.
Have we made any more progress on some of the other ones that, like setting up the ACH process?
Yes. We've run into some that are a little bumpy, but we have Alliance set up. We have Meritas, I believe we have set up. We have Baker and Taylor set up. We have Consumers Energy set up. Debbie is currently working on DTE. Michigan Outdoor Service she's working on. Oxford Bank is already set up. Sun Life is already set up. So we're making good progress.
Yeah. Well, Baker and Taylor and Oxford Bank were two of the
They were the
biggest issues we've had in the
first.
past.
Yep,
so
they were
that's
first. Absolutely.
It's one of those areas where COVID lasted longer.
Yeah. The thing that we're running into that's a little problematic is that some of the vendors don't really want to do ACH in which we push the money to them. They want to do, you give us your bank account number, we'll just pull it out. We're not doing that. So,
No.
but that's what they would.
100% no.
That's a hard no, but that's what they would prefer, and that's where what we ran into with Accident Fund. When we put them on the list, they said, oh yeah, we do ACH. They meant they pull from us, not we push to them, so. So, anyway, it is what it is.
We're working on that.
We're working on that one. We're hoping, so.
Okay, I'll accept a motion.
I'll move that we approve the updated list of vendors authorized to receive ACH payments as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the updated list of vendors authorized to receive ACH payment as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is approved. Okay. Let's look at an updated list of authorized check signers.
Okay.
Yep.
As a brief review, the accounts payable procedure is as follows. Invoices are submitted to accounts payable administrative assistant who enters them into QuickBooks. The check run preview and invoices are given to the director for review. Once approved, checks are run. There are 5 check signers, 4 board members, and the library director. All checks are reviewed and signed by 2 library board members. The library director only signs if a check is needed quickly to prevent late fees, or if other board members are unavailable, and only with the agreement of the board member who is available to sign. The check detail report goes into the library board packet for approval on the consent agenda. Currently, the individuals on the master signature authorization agreement at the bank are Marilyn Pomeroy, Janice Gaffney, Nancy Moon, Christy Shull, and Julia Meredith. Due to Christy's passing, we need to update this document with the bank. Allison McFadden Kiesling has agreed to become an additional check signer.
Thank you, Allison.
Okay, this one is pretty cut and dried, thank you.
Well, I don't know, we're probably hours of discussion ahead of us.
All the other check signers like that idea, thank you.
Yes.
That means everyone signs just a little less. All right, I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to accept Allison on our check signing list. So with that authorizes Jan Gaffney, Allison McFadden Kiesling, Nancy Moon, Marilyn Pomeroy, and Julie Meredith for the Flag Star accounts as
I'll
presented.
second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Janice Gaffney, Allison McFadden Kiesling, Nancy Moon, Marilyn Pomeroy, and Julie Meredith are signers on the library's Flagstar account.
And I believe because this one's needs to be a resolution, so we need to do a
Yeah.
roll call on that.
Oh,
Okay.
Jan Gaffney,
Yes.
Allison McFadden Kiesling,
Yes.
Nancy Moon,
yes.
Alan Panter,
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy,
Yes.
Maggie Sands.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And do we need to sign a form?
I have the form right here, which I will give to you at the end of the meeting, so don't let me
So
forget.
don't leave without signing.
Don't leave without signing my form, please.
First official signature. That's right.
Well, we did make arrangements with Flagstar. At first, they said that we all needed to go to the bank at the same time, which creates a quorum, which is a problem. But when I called our government representative. She said, no, you do it at your board meeting, and then you give it to us, and then we give it to the branch. So you sign it here. There's no need to all go over to that. No.
So we appreciate that.
Yes, we do appreciate that. They're making it easy for us. We
Everyone
just-
appreciates that, because having to post a public meeting at the bank.
At the bank, yeah, in the bank lobby. Yeah, we're not going to host a public meeting in the bank lobby. So if anybody wants to watch us sign, we'll do that after the meeting, but it won't be a meeting, it'll just be a signature
And
thing.
you know how
And then-
careful we try to be at not having four of us in the
Right.
same location
That's the
ever
same-
at the same time.
Yes.
All right, let's move to the budget adjustment for lobby furniture.
All right. In 2023, the Library Board approved a budget of $15,000 to replace the lobby furniture. A proposal from Library Design Associates was presented and approved by the board. The new furniture was ordered and was given an estimated delivery date of October 2023. Unfortunately, there were a number of delays, and the furniture was not delivered by the end of the budget year. We just received a delivery date of the week of February 5th, 2024. Because
This week.
Which is this week, hopefully, although I don't have a confirmed day specifically of this week. Because the project was not completed by the end of the year, the $15,000 in that line item 975 building reverted to fund balance. The 2024 budget approved in September 2023 did not include this expense because at the time, we had no reason to believe the project would not be completed by December. It's one of those things. So the money is available, but it went into fund balance, and if you would be so kind as to make a budget adjustment out of fund balance to cover that, it would be much appreciated.
So we're bouncing it back and forth.
It's
if
bouncing
I
back and
get a
forth.
motion.
I make a motion to approve a budget adjustment of $15,000 for lobby furniture from fund balance to line 975 building.
I second.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve a budget adjustment of $15,000 for lobby furniture from the fund balance to line 975 building. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion is carried.
Thank
We're
you.
looking forward to seeing it.
It should be
Now.
lovely. Arlene worked very hard on this project. So,
All right. Number 6, approval of the Allied Building Service Contract renewal.
Okay, so this is another one from Arlene. For the past few years, we have had a comprehensive facilities maintenance contract with Allied Building Services. This includes a regular list of tasks that are monitored on a monthly, semi-annual, and annual basis, in addition to our regular as-needed work list. This has been a streamlined way for us to assure that our building is being maintained with a preventative mindset instead of constantly reacting to things that need to be repaired. The facilities coordinator oversees the task list to ensure everything is being completed, as well as creating the monthly list of minor repairs that need to occur. The change in cost between 2023 and 2024 is as follows. Carpentry was listed, now this is for carpentry, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. These are things that would be outside of the scope of the regular contract. So if we call and ask for something that's outside of the standard amount that we pay per month, carpentry is going up from $72.50 per hour to $73.50 per hour. Electrical is going from $82.50 to $83.50. HVAC is going from $92.50 to $93.50, and plumbing is going from $92.50 to $93.50. Now, HVAC and plumbing are irrelevant because we have other contractors, local contractors that we use for that. Electrical, we have 2 local contractors that we sometimes use, and sometimes we have Allied bid on the project depending on what it is. And I'll be honest, we often find that our local contractors are more economical. But we have occasionally used Allied for work on some things that were a little more specific, building specific, if they're already working on something else that's attached to it. So for example, when we were working on the business center, Allied was assisting with some of the construction work in that, and so we used their electrician for that, just because it made sense. And then the annual cost, the total annual cost is $22,740, and this year would be $22,762.50.
So it would be that if we use them.
I'm sorry.
Or they're going, so in other words, so this is just built into the contract.
So the contract, so every month we have a facilities technician that is assigned to our building. He
Right.
comes once a month, and everything that's listed in this contract is what he does.
Yes.
If there is something that is outside of the scope of what he can handle, so for example, if there was a plumbing item or an HVAC item that was outside of what his scope would be, we would either hire allied specialists at this rate, or we would then go get a vendor, local vendor. So in the case of plumbing, if it was something that wasn't an easy repair, I mean, he can do some faucet sorts of things and toilet repairs and things like that, but if it were outside of the scope, the complete replacement of a toilet, for example, is something that he probably wouldn't do. He would bring in another plumber, and at that point, he says, this is outside of my scope. Do you want us to do it, or do you want to hire another person? And so that's how that kind of works. And then they break
The
that.
regular monthly cost, it's just a minimal
Yeah.
increase, so.
Yeah.
Less than $2.
Yeah.
88 cents.
It's not keeping up with the rate of inflation.
Yeah.
It's not like rental properties.
No,
going
well,
up.
and they've been doing this with us for the last few years, and I think they've kind of figured out they're getting pretty good at figuring out how long he needs to be here and what he's going to get done and that sort of thing. And they do assign us a specific person. Our specific person has changed a couple of times over the last few years, but currently we have Tommy, and Tommy is great. He will start a project, and if he can't finish it, he lets Arlene know that he'll be finishing it up the next time. If there's some reason, like he's supposed to paint something and it's outside and it's raining, he just puts that on his list and moves it to the next month and does the things that are inside. I mean, he's just really good at sort of making sure he understands in a library that there are certain things you can't do when the public is in a certain area, and he works around people very well. So it's been going really well, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I move that we approve the comprehensive facilities maintenance program contract with Allied Building Service as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the Comprehensive Facilities Maintenance Program contract with Allied Building Service as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you. It's a long contract.
It is a long contract, it is.
All right, now let us move to full-time collaborations librarian.
So we have received notification that our current collaborations librarian has accepted a job in another state to be closer to family. She will be with us through February 13th, 2024. While she's only been with us a short time, we are truly saddened to see her move on. She's already made an impact, and we want to keep the momentum of her work moving forward. When we interviewed to fill this position the last time, we had 2 excellent candidates, making the choice a difficult one. Before posting the position, we would like to approach the other candidate we interviewed to see if that person might be interested and potentially bring that person forward as a recommendation. If not, we would request permission to post the position. We hope to have a candidate to recommend for appointment at the March 18th board meeting, and this is a budgeted position.
I'm assuming you're talking about the person is someone in-house?
Yeah, internal.
I think it would be great if we could use them. It shows some real upward mobility, even though our library is quite small.
And you'll see in your little pile of handouts that I provided to you, David is the supervisor of that particular position, and he did make a few small adjustments to the position description, nothing that changes the scope of the work, just some little details that he wanted updated, and so I put that there for you if you wanted to take a look at that. So approving that, if we were to post it, that's how we would post it, so using his new verbiage. And David is here if you have any questions for him about that position.
I agree with what Nancy said, that if the person that we previously, it was a tough choice.
It was a very tough choice.
If that person is available, then let's not go through the whole process again. It's a time-consuming and somewhat cumbersome process to post and accept applications and interview and do all of that, so I don't see a problem.
I think there's an important point to be made about growing talent within the library.
Yeah.
Right. And as I sit on that committee, I approve.
I thought you might.
All right, I'll accept a motion.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No. I make a motion to approve the permission to seek a candidate to to recommend for the appointment for the collaboration librarian position as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve permission to seek a candidate to recommend for appointment as presented in the Collections Librarian Department. Any other comments or questions? Good luck with negotiations. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
And just as an aside, the current collaborations librarian is very sad to be leaving. She really was very happy to be here, but this is a kind of a once-in-a-lifetime situation for her to move closer to her extended family. It just so happened that a position opened up in the town that her mother is from. And just on a whim, her cousin sent it to her, and she applied and was offered the job, so, yeah.
Great.
So she came into my office and was very sad to tell me this, and also to David as well, so.
We wish her well in her new venture.
Yeah, we're very excited for her, but very sad for us, because we really were enjoying it.
Sorry, David, but
Yeah.
We wish you well. All right. Number 8, request to close the library early on October 18th.
So this one is also from Sissy. CIDL's annual trunk or treat event has become very popular. In anticipation of accommodating a large crowd, closing the library early in order to properly prepare the parking lot would be beneficial to assure a successful event. So she's asking that on Friday, October 18th, that we close at 4 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. so that we can clear out the parking lot and put up all kinds of orange cones and safety tape and all of the wonderful things that we need to do for that. We had huge turnout the last couple of years, no matter what the weather has been. So it's a good event. It's a very, very good event. And she gets kudos for having the prettiest presentation.
yes.
So,
Very nice.
Agreed.
Especially since it necessitates crossing Clarkston Road
Yes.
in order to have enough parking.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
we have an officer, a police officer, who comes and helps direct traffic and make sure that that's safe. And last year he came and he didn't get here as early as he wanted because there was traffic and whatever, but he got here and did the whole evening and whatever. At the end of the evening, he came up to me and he goes, "That was a great event. That is not a one-man show. I will be bringing help next year." So
We had two.
yeah. So for whatever reason, we only had the one guy this time, and he said, "That is not a one-man show. I will be bringing help." So, but he said it was great, and he loved doing it, and so we were pleased about that.
So how are we going to make sure that people know in advance that the library will be closing early?
Well, our marketing and engagement person this is her baby. This project is her baby. So she will definitely be putting it out there on our closure list. She'll be putting it on our website. She'll put it out on social media. She'll put out reminders the week before so that people know. Friday afternoon is, depending on the time of year, is not a hugely busy time for us. We usually have some people that are studying and things like that. So we'll make sure that those folks know. And when you get to that time of the year, a lot of times it's regular studiers, so they're in the building, so we'll make sure that
So
we
they'll
have-
know, okay.
Yep. If it's people who are studying for tests and things, we'll make sure that we talk to them and let them know, so. We won't just boot them out in the cold.
That's good.
It was cold this year.
Okay, excellent. Done very well. I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
We have
Oh,
to,
we have to vote on this
approve
one.
the closure.
yeah.
Oh,
Approve the
that's right, we
closure
haven't
before-
voted on that yet. Excuse me for jumping ahead.
Sissy would not
Comments or
forgive me for
questions
that.
about the 18th?
No.
Okay, I move that we approve a 4 p.m. closure of the library on Friday, October 18th, 2024, for the purpose of setting up for trunk or treat.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve a 4 p.m. closure on October 18th for the purpose of setting up for trunk and treat that evening. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed. Now, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed, and we are adjourning at 7:16.
That was a tight meeting.
Sign that one.
Wow.
Everybody did a nice
These birthday cards.
Thank you.